Good morning, everybody. So yesterday I had a lovely stream on the Patreon. I looked at quite a lot of altcoins, and we deducted that basically most of them all look exactly the same, which is fine because they all point in one direction, which is up. So, long story short, you'd have to be pretty unlucky to have an altcoin right now that's not making or not about to make some money in the short term. But there are some out there, believe me, that aren't very good, but most of them look alright. And like I say, more than alright. I mean, they all look the same. And when there's power in numbers, it shifts the dominance chart, it shifts the total market cap, and with that is like a self-fulfilling prophecy that basically it all breaks resistance and continues to move. And one other thing we recognised yesterday is that, yeah, BNB's made a new all-time high. And BNB has been powerful for a very long time. I mean, believe me, that has been an epic hodl. If anyone remembers my old bot trading videos from 2020, feels like a lifetime ago. Back in those days, I was getting like 2.5 BNB a day just in bot profit every day for about 3 or 4 months. Yeah, imagine that. Really, it's yeah. Back then, they were worth about $30-40. You know, and yeah, wow, they've kept me going. But the reason I bring that up is because that's a heavily traded trading pair. And I know that we are all used to having Bitcoin dominance and rotation from Bitcoin. Maybe less so this time because so much Bitcoin's going off the market into ETF type wallets and institutional wallets that never to be seen again, unlikely to rotate. There's a very realistic prospect that BNB will be rotated, and that money and Ethereum money as well. There's a lot of that could be rotated too. Anyway, today we're just going to talk about Algorand. Yeah, I know, boring, right? But it's worth talking about because I like to refer to it these days as XRP's retarded little brother, really, to be honest, because all the others, XLM, XDC, HBAR, XRP itself, all point to new all-time highs, if not already made the new all-time high, and they all seem very achievable. But this old thing, not quite so much, I'm afraid. Not quite so much. However, there is something going on it which I really like at the moment. It's made it worthy of a position. I'm knee deep in this from a spot position, but immediately looks like it's gonna pop. To be honest with you, and when I say immediate based on a daily, which means yes, it might not move by the second you watch the video, but it's just something I just wanted to bring to your attention. Whether you do something about it or not, it's completely up to you. My trades, my channel, my life, my money. Say and do what I want, alright? Right, so we're looking at this on the daily to begin with, and what we do see, first of all, is a resistance of these candle bodies breaking, as it would appear to be breaking right now. We also see resistance on the money flow index and the RSI, which the RSI is breaking. So we've got price action breaking with momentum breaking, which gives you targets initially of the areas lost, 29.63, 31.72, and then maybe, just maybe, we could think about what that might look like for a breakout. So you could measure this portion, which I think is not correct, more along the lines of this portion where these candle bodies are, and then you take that little measured move and you drag it to the breakout area, and it gives you an area of 34, which is just above the Bollinger Band, which is also more than appropriate place to imagine a breakout of this size. We've got a fresh golden cross on exponential moving averages. Lots of altcoins have this. This is something you've just got to bear in mind as well, because if the market does take another dump, and it could do, I don't want to scare anybody, but obviously there are going to be more dumps like the one we've seen recently. But if this one does dump, most altcoins have these golden crosses, which measure out another 20%, give or take, to where we are right now. I imagine if that were to happen, there'd be a lot of skepticism in the market. Oh, it's over. Oh, that was the worst alt season ever. But for me, I would be looking at that as maybe, this is actually the main support, maybe the last low before the alt season really begins, like really takes off. Golden cross retests are basically the baseline of any significant rally. You look for the V-shaped recovery first of all, and then continuation thereafter. But at the moment, it doesn't look like it wants to do that. We moved into the Bollinger Band itself, like most altcoins did this, bang, and now we're looking for the recovery and continuation. So there's a setup on the daily worthy of speaking about. The weekly, if we move over to the weekly, there isn't a great deal going on the weekly other than what most altcoins have done anyway, which is print this bullish divergence read on the RSI. Loads of altcoins have done this. Some have done double divergence, some have done triple. But we also have a positive cross taking place here on the Ichimoku cloud. Now this in itself isn't really anything. The only reason I'm highlighting it is because it's never really done it before, really. I mean, the last time we have done it before, but it was like a million years ago, basically, all the way down here. We can just about see it here. So we did see something similar to that, and when it was at 16 cents, and then from 16 cents, it kind of rallied to 61. Not bad, not bad. You know, we'll take it for what it is. We'll take it. I mean, yeah, it did it over here as well, to be fair. So it's done it a couple of times. I did it here, actually. But a cross on its own, of the conversion baseline cross on its own, isn't really anything. The cross with price action above the cloud and the Chiku span above the cloud, and then a leading portion of the cloud going green, which is quite unlikely to be seen anytime soon. That's more like it. However, you know, we'll take it for what it is. You know, if you're just thinking about that on its own, historically, it has led to big rallies. So, fine. It's just anecdotal. It's not a technical way of playing the Ichimoku cloud. But I just thought I'd show it to you anyway. Now, the money flow index and the RSI are at quite comfortable levels, really, on the monthly, as most altcoins actually are. So 60, and we've got 50, and we've got plenty of room to run to be, to move into these other areas. The 50 exponential being the last area of moving averages on the monthly, so it might give a nice clean breakout after that, which could even target these highs that we've, at the moment do seem like unachievable, $1.85 for instance, but I think first we should really just target the 60s, which is the sort of the previous areas that were lost, and then a little bit higher than that. So the 4 hourly, we'll check that, because the daily is probably the main thing to think about. So we've got a hidden bearish divergence in the short term, which at the moment looks like it's about to be cancelled out, which is cool. I'll take that. We're trending above the 28 cents, which again is good. We've got the hidden bullish divergence here, which led to this low in the short term. Again, most altcoins do look like they want to creep up and trend upwards. So Algorand at least has a measured move into the mid-30s initially. So that looks like it's not a guarantee. There's no guarantee in trading, but it looks pretty much ready to do that. And I am expecting that to happen. And then the high turn time frames could take you higher into perhaps the 40s, 60s, and maybe into the dollars. But at the moment, one step at a time. Now, obviously, as it is the retarded brother of XRP, we must look at XRP because it can't do much without it. So XRP is broken out similar on the 4 hourly, which is fine. We sort of accepted that was likely to be the case yesterday. Above all, moving averages here on the daily, mostly reset as well after this massive rally. And on the weekly, we've got a single drive of bearish divergence. Don't worry about that so much, just one drive will do. We're looking for another one after that, but this one's got a trend signal on the weekly. So this one actually has an Ichimoku cloud trend signal that is active on the weekly from a couple of weeks ago. So we're looking for this one to continue to trend up. Now, I am obviously a big XRP hodler. I've got tons and tons of the stuff. It's arguably the second biggest position I've had for many years, because I believed in the overall breakout and the certainty of it and the liquidity of it too. So this is why I'm relatively comfortable holding so much of it, because you can sell it pretty easily, at whatever price, that's always been traded heavily. And so you've heard me mention fanboy figures in the past, and they all, back in the olden days, seemed, ridiculous. People would say, "What are you talking about? $5 at XRP? Blah, 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 blah. It's definitely never going to do that. The market cap would be quadzillion, gazillions, and that's impossible. Market cap, blah, 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 blah." But now, it would appear that everybody's talking about much higher prices for XRP. I was only really targeting, and there was a handful. Obviously, the previous all-time high, which has been tagged. Next to be around $5, $7, and then maybe $14. The top target would actually be $27. So, but don't hold out for that. I'm not saying that's where we're going, but if it does have the capacity to reach those numbers, although they are pretty high, so I wouldn't really be expecting them. That would take the retarded brother of Algorand, at least a little bit higher than where it is right now. Maybe above $1, maybe towards that $1.85 area. Now, this cycle, in my opinion, is likely to come to an end relatively soon, in my opinion. Well, I'm not married to that prospect, but as I was saying to everybody last night on the live stream, I said, look, worst case scenario, I exit the market in September, which is what I'm generally planning on doing. Have been planning on that for a couple of years. That's where I expect the market cycle to kind of fizzle out. Worst case scenario, it keeps going up. But that's not a bad scenario, is it? What I mean is, the worst case scenario, I have made a load of money. So that's not a bad place to be. I know that you'd always look at something like that and go, "Oh, if I would have held on for longer, I would have made more." But if you can flip that little switch in your head to think, actually, hang on a minute. So you're telling me that the worst case scenario that you're looking at here is that you leave the market with a lot of money. That's the worst case scenario. I'll take it. I'll take it. And I think that's one thing that I would like people to recognise. If I make a decision to leave the market in September, I leave with an enormous amount of profit. All right. If I could leave now with a pretty significant amount of profit, I leave in September, I should have seen more. And if it keeps going up, no big deal. That's not going to take my profit away, is it? Knowing that I could have made more. It still means that I've left the market with profit. So worst case scenario, I make a load of money. That's not a problem, is it? It's all not a problem. The reason I'm putting it out there is because if I do leave the market around that time, which I imagine I probably will, because I'm usually a man of my word, there'd have to be some very significant changes for me to think about staying in the market, with the deployment that I've got in. Anyway, I'm rambling again. Right? I'm just putting it to you that there's nothing wrong with leaving the market with money, because I know that everybody out there will say, "Oh, you paper-handed mother, you should have stayed." And I'm like, well, it would have been nice to have made more money, but money's money. Right, profit's profit. So yeah, that's the situation for Algorand. And again, I just thought I'd make this video on Algorand because every day I'm making videos about the overall market, and it was almost always the same. So last week we're talking about the dump. We got the dump. Then there was talks about the recovery. We're getting the recovery, and now we're looking for the continuation. I expect we'll get the continuation, and then we've got to look carefully for where the next dump might be, because it could even take it down to a lower low, and that is no big deal either. That's still a golden cross retest across the board. Just finish off with the dominance chart. OneDrive hidden bullish divergence, no big deal. This time is slightly different to the time that we hit the 50 exponential before. I know that people like to look at this and say, well, we hit here before and then we bounced and we continued up. We could do that, but at the same time we weren't as overheated as we were. We didn't have double bearish divergence. We didn't have double bearish divergence on money flow index either, and we didn't have bullish divergence on the high term time frames for altcoins either. So when you merge the two together, this is the opposite chart to most altcoins. Most altcoins doing double div, double bull div. This is doing double bear div, and I think this time is definitely different. All right, not because I want it to be, not because I think it's going to be, but because the signs on the chart suggest that it is. So that will be that. There is nothing much more to say. I'll leave the market to behave the way that the market wants to behave today. It's obviously Monday, but the way I see it, we've got the dump, we're getting the recovery, we should get the continuation, and we just keep our eyes peeled for the next dump, and we'll see how big it's going to be. Because they're going to be big moves up and big moves down. And like I said yesterday, well, on the stream for people of the Patreon, we were lucky. We saw that dip come in and we got the dip. Whether you took part in the short or exited positions, or if you just rode it out, it doesn't really matter. We kind of knew it was coming, and we knew we had a good idea that it would recover from there. But there's going to be dips that I can't anticipate. The market is snaky. It's a snaky beast. And we got that one. We might not be able to catch the other one. It might catch us off guard. So we can't get all the moves like that all the time. That was a good one. But there will be more. Whether or not I have the foresight to predict the next one is different. Right, I'll leave it with you there. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Subscribe to the channel. Join the Patreon. Click on all the links. Do it all. And have a nice day. Take it easy.